Okay, there we go. I did it. I remembered.
Is your yellow a gold or a yellow?
It's gold.
Okay,
And
that's
I
what
didn't, I don't think I gave out golds in this pack, but you may have one. I was just having fun at the end with some embellishment. So if you have a gold, it's fun.
I do.
If you don't, it will still be beautiful. I'm kind of
Okay.
excited about this tile. Often I just lift a lesson from Zentangle headquarters, but this one I made up. So I was doing all of the Project Pack 20s, and we've done a few of them together, and then the last few I was like, I could do better. I could come up with something more fun.
I take it we're using that pre-strung mandala that you had given us, that
Yeah.
one laying up.
Yep.
Okay, excellent.
Yep.
Excellent.
Hopefully everyone has it. Still hanging around. I'm pretty sure you could figure out a way to do this, kind of free form, but it's fun with the free strung. So, okay, it's 6:33. Let's give people 2 more minutes if anybody else is going to join. Otherwise, I have to repeat myself once we get started. I think we'll have time to get through everything. And I hope you all have tons of time to do Zentangle all through the summer and all your spare time outside in the warm, under a palm tree, sitting on the beach.
No palm trees in Michigan.
The palm trees in Michigan. No palm trees in Westchester either, so. All right, so I have the light gray and the dark gray and a black. Oh, one, I have our jelly roll. I have a gold pen. And then, of course, our trusty pencil and tortillon. You might find use for a white charcoal or something, but I didn't use it as I was putting this together, but we'll see. Just have your toys, your tools at hand.
I have a black 05 with me. What do you think? Should I use a blue or a brown for an 01?
Ooh, brown might be nice. Or the 05 would be fine too, the black. It's kind of, lots of different ways. I tangled it one way when I was working on this, and then but I'm going to do it differently, different color choices for how we do it tonight. So we'll see. All right, let's settle in and get ourselves in the right frame of mind. Like Rebecca, I'm going to put my glasses on before I'm like halfway through thinking like I can't see what actually is going on here. Okay, that's better. All right, so now we don't need our eyes for the moment. You can close your eyes, make yourself comfortable. If you have clutter on the space in front of you besides your tools and your tile, just take a moment, clear it away. Tidy little space in which to work. And let's do the same thing in our mind's eye. Let's just tidy up our mental space. So take a moment to observe with eyes closed the clutter in your mind, the distractions of the day, the little messes, and one by one, acknowledge each little mental mess. Pick it up, hold it in your hand, see it, and then gently set it aside somewhere just off outside of the periphery of your vision. You don't need it right now. You might need it later, but it serves no purpose and it doesn't need to be in your space now. So take a few breaths and identify each little mess, see it, and then set it aside for the time being. And as you do, you can breathe it out. As you set each little annoyance aside, let it go from your body. Maybe it's living in your neck or your shoulders or your temples or your forehead, in the corners of your eyes, in your jaw. Maybe it's in your belly. Just breathe it out and let it go. And fill your mental space with your love for all that is beautiful. Fill it with your creative spirit, your belief in yourself, that you can do anything one stroke at a time, that nothing is too difficult or insurmountable if you just treat it with patience, observe it with kindness, and especially kindness towards yourself, compassion towards yourself, patience with yourself. Tonight, we're going to explore the sort of the growing randomness within a very set framework. It's a lovely structure for creativity, I think, the elegance of limits that we set for ourselves in Zentangle. We're given a string on this Zendala tonight, but we can feel free to ignore it from time to time. Sometimes a little bit of structure gives us the creativity to move beyond it, go someplace new. So just take a few breaths here. Set for yourself a personal intention for our time together. And when you're ready, you can go ahead and open your eyes and we'll begin. All right, so I'm going to clear away some of these tools for right now. I have my lovely pre-strung Zendala in front of me. I'm going to start with my black 01, but like I said, I did this a little bit differently when I was practicing. I used the dark gray for this first part, so kind of it doesn't matter. We're going to start with a tangle that I don't do all that often, but I really do like. It's called Paradox. It's a more linear tangle. I tend to go with the more organic tangles, but I thought these triangular spaces lent themselves to Paradox. So it's very interesting. If you've never done it before, you probably want to watch me first. And I'm going to start by identifying, we're going to do Paradox in each of these triangular shapes. They are more roughly triangular. So I'm just going to go ahead and retrace this triangle. So I
This is
know.
so annoying, Stu.
Sorry?
Sorry.
Oh, you like this one?
No, I was talking to my husband.
Oh,
Sorry.
okay. I'm going to go ahead and mute you then.
Yeah, please.
Okay, so I'm going to go ahead with my black pen and just reiterate this triangular shape. We're going to do the same pattern in each one of these 6 triangular areas, and we're going to be careful. We're going to try our best to move in the same way around each triangle each time. If for some reason you don't end up doing that, it's going to be fine. But I'm always going to start on this shortest edge right here. So the way Paradox works is it's a series of triangles that nestle one within the next, smaller and smaller and smaller until we get to the center. And it's easier for me to just start drawing it for you, and you'll see what I mean. So we've outlined this triangle. So now I'm going to start from this center point here, and I'm going to follow along this short leg here and I'm going to come out a little ways. So I start at the point up top here, but where I end up is not back at this point down here. It's a little ways out from that corner. Okay, so you get this really small, like blade of grass type sliver. And then I'm going to turn my tile. I'm starting at this point right here where that last line touched down. And I'm going to do the same thing. I'm going to follow along this longer edge here, and I'm going to touch down at a point that's just up from this corner. Okay, so I start at a point, but then I end up just a little bit up from the next one. Then I'm going to turn my tile all the way upside down so that here I'm going to start from this point right up here, follow along this line, and then end not at the point, but a little ways up from it. Okay, so we've just made another triangle inside that first triangle, but it's just slightly askew. Okay, and then we're going to keep doing that again. So I'm going to turn my tile all the way back around to the same place that we started. And again, I'm going to begin at the point here and follow along and then end just a little ways off from the last point that I created. I'm going to turn my tile, start at the point that I just made, and follow down a little ways away. Turn my tile all the way around, start where I just left off at the point, and come down and land a little ways off. Okay, so now we have 3 triangles that are nestled within each other that are kind of rotating around. So we just keep going around doing the same thing all the way. We're going to fill this space, starting at the point and ending a little ways away on the line, turning the tile, starting at the point, ending a little ways away. This one, if you're in the zone, it's pretty intuitive. This is one that's hard to like get up and answer the phone and walk away from and then remember where you left off. But if you stay with it and just keep turning your tile and following the leader, it makes sense. And I love it on the Zentangle because you really just keep turning it around. Taking your time with this one, it takes focus. Your triangles are getting smaller as they kind of rotate around. You can give the lines a little curve sometimes, following the curve of that pre-strung triangular shape. Sometimes when I get closer to the center, I don't turn the tile, but I'm going to keep doing it so that you can see that it's just the same stroke over and over again. All the way down to the center, so you can't do it anymore. Okay? So when you can see, it creates this really interesting spiraling effect there. All those triangles take on a whole nother life of their own. All right, so when you're ready, we're going to go do another one. Just moving to the next one, I'm going to just follow the leader, same as I did. I'm going to outline that pre-strung triangular shape. It's a little bit like a tooth or a claw or something. And I'm going to start again at my short line, the shortest of the 3 sides, starting at the point in the very center and coming down to this line here. turning my tile. It's always point to touch down on the line. Turn, point, touch down on the line. Turn, start at the point, and touch down on the line. So you can go at your own pace. We're going to do this with all of the triangular shapes in the center there. This is one of those patterns that you can make really, really tight, many, many, many lines, or if you give a little bit more space in between, fills a little faster. Really just what your preference is, what you want for your tile. And already you see the interaction between these two shapes creates this whole other thing happening in the middle here. It's really interesting. So when you're ready, just move on to the next. Outlining the shape. Starting on the short side. Start at the point in the center. Touch down on the line. Turn and repeat. Turn and repeat. Remembering to breathe. Remembering to relax your grip on your pen. Relax your shoulders. Watch with curiosity as this pattern unfolds before you. It's like some kind of crazy origami. Remember to start on the short side. Start at the center and land on the line. Take a moment as you move to each section to just identify the space in which you're working. Game plan for a moment where you start and where you're going. Okay, I have one more left. Don't worry if you have more, we'll give you some time. I was watching a tutorial today by Molly Hollabaugh, who's, she works with Zentangle. She's Maria's daughter. And, she said, well, I hear people say a lot, I tangle too fast, I tangle too slowly, but however, whatever speed you tangle at, she said, is the right speed to tangle for you. So don't be in a rush. If you don't finish all of these, as I'm moving on to the next, you know what to do. You can always come back and finish it later. And if you're finished already and waiting for what comes next, you can always go back and give individual lines a little bit of love, a little definition, some sculpting with the pen. I'm sure I've said this before, my favorite book is Alice in Wonderland. And when she meets the Red Queen, she asks Alice a question and Alice doesn't answer right away. And the Red Queen says, curtsy while you're thinking what to do. While you're thinking what to say, it saves time. I think of that all the time. So for me, it's, zhuzh the line when you're thinking what to do next in Zentangle. All right, well, we could just stop there. That's pretty spectacular. We need another minute, or are we ready to move on? I see some heads down. Yeah, I see some thumbs up. Okay, another tiny sec so you can finish up what you're doing. All right. I'm going to stick with my black pen, and I'm going to be focusing on this string line here in each section, this one that kind of goes in between right here. So each one of these, it doesn't matter where you start, they're all the same. So when we were at Zen again, they showed us a very interesting way to do poke root, which we did a few weeks ago. I love poke root. I do it all the time. We did that a ruckus with ending in poke root. So we're going to do a different version of poke root tonight. And this was something that was fairly new to me. So we're not going to do anything with this line yet. We're just going to tangle around it. And again, watch me for a second. I'm going to start a poke root that goes like this. I'm going to just take off from this point right here. And I'm going to make a C shape that goes across that string. Crosses over it. It starts at this point here and it just crosses over it a little bit. And then I'm going to aura it. Okay, this is the poke root stem. And then I put my little cap on the top. And then I put the berry on it. And I'm going to do that 2 more times on this string here. So I'm going to go a little ways up maybe like the length of the metal part of the pen nib. This is not an exact science. I'm going to do another one of these C shapes that crosses over the string. I'm going to aura that line. So it's anchored at the base on the string, but then it crosses over it at the top. Then I put the little top on, and then I draw the berry or whatever. And the third one, same idea, but I'm going to have it go behind this point here and come out the other side. So that C shape starts there, kind of comes up and around, aura it, put the little cap on, and some of this berry might be behind this point here, and that's totally fine. So just imagine and draw behind and see where it would meet up. Okay, so we made 3 little sort of floppy poke roots. Now we're going to fill in the stem on this string. So now I'm going to retrace the string only where it, peeks out from behind the poke roots that we just drew. Okay, and then I'm going to aura it, giving it the same thickness of these poke root little stems that are here. And then I'm going to have it come up the top here and just end in a little poke root. Okay, we're going to come back and do more with that later, but we're going to do this right now all the way around on all of these strings. So now I'm going to go to the next one. They are going to start to overlap as we fill the tile. Don't be afraid of that. I really love that. So again, we're going to start at this point here. I just turned my tile. We were here. Now I just turned, I guess, counterclockwise, and that may be because I'm a lefty. So if you're going the other way, that's fine. And now I'm going to do the same thing. We're going to start with that C shape that starts at the point and then comes over that string line. Aura it. Put the little cap on and put the poke root on. And don't worry if it hits up with the other ones that you've already drawn, that's fine. Okay, go up a little ways. Start on the string line, up and over it just a little. Put the little cap on. Okay, and this last one that kind of bridges and goes behind this point here. And then we retrace our string, drawing behind those little poke roots that we just made, aura-ing it. And then giving it a little poke root right at the top. Okay, we're going to do that all the way around to each one. So when you're ready, turn your tile, start back at your point, rinse and repeat. I love poke root because even if you tried, no two are the same. Some may be bigger, some might be smaller, some go in a different direction. And even though we're sort of following a repeating pattern, you'll see in a little while, we'll give it a little bit more personality. Just want to lay these down first as a base, as a foundation. I also like this contrast. We just did a really linear, structured tangle with paradox in the center, and now this is a little bit more free form and organic. Turning your tile. Drawing behind if you need to. That one, went underneath the one that was already there. That's great. Both of these paradox that we just drew and what we're working on now, if you were just to look at them without knowing the breakdown and how to draw it, you'd look at it and say, no way, I can't do that. I don't know how to draw that. It's too hard. But when we take it one step at a time, it becomes entirely doable and fun. All right, at each step of the way, it's kind of like, wow, okay, I could be done right now. But no, way too much white space. So this looks great, and we could leave it like this, I want to fill in a few more poke roots on each one of these stems here. And I'm going to stick with my black pen. And I'm just going to go, you know how things grow on a vine. They kind of shoot out at pretty regular intervals. So, you know, we have these here, and then we have this space. So I'm going to make a poke root that comes out here. I'm going to make one that comes out on this side over here. We're just going to fill in a bit, overlapping. I really love how they can go over and under each other. I'm just kind of thinking about where they feel like they should go. You know, even don't be afraid. This one's going to go behind, but I'm still going to put it there, and you know that it's there. And you could make them as dense as you want. However, I would, if you can leave a little space like this in here, we're going to do a little embellishment in here, and we are going to use a little of this space up here. So, you know, don't fill it completely, but, you know, for instance, maybe another one kind of sneaks in back here. We get that nice interplay of the something coming behind that loop-de-loop. So I'm going to fill in along this stem here, but I want to leave a little space here and a little bit of room up here to play with. Beyond that, you go nuts. I might even put one down here. Maybe a tiny one. See, I'm not listening to myself here. I can't help it. Okay, that's it. I'm not doing any more than that. Okay, so it fills in kind of like that. When you're ready, you go on to your next area and you fill in your poke roots along the stem. Enjoying the over under that starts to happen. That's one of my favorite things about Zentangle is the layering. Maybe you do have one crazy one that really really goes out of bounds and does something crazy, like that guy. Maybe, you know, it's nature. Things happen. So again, the elegance of limits, you know, we set these rules for ourselves and then we break them. I'd like to send them in different directions, give them a little personality. Just keep making my way around, turning my tile. Just feeling, listening to the tile. What does it want next? Where does each next poke root need to go? Where does it fit? Where does it live? Where does it want to be? All right, looking pretty good. All right, we're going to start adding a little texture to our background areas. So like I said, we have these little spaces in here, and then we have these outside areas here. We're going to start with these little inside areas. I'm going to take my dark gray, the darker of the two grays. Could do it with the lighter one too, would be pretty. The darker of the two 01s, and we're going to do a sort of crescent moon variation. Sometimes they call it a moon pie. It's got it's crescent moon with some embellishments. So, but simple and pretty, and adds a little drama and some ink. So I'm just going to pick just any of these areas to start. And just in this cradle right here, I'm going to look at this towards the center, and I'm going to make our little ladybug shape, that little crescent. Again, it's that C shape, the same that we were just doing with our floppy poke root. Make that C shape there, and then I'm going to color it in using my gray. So it gets pretty dark, but it's not black, so it looks black on the screen, but it's gray. Then give a tight little aura around that little ladybug, and then a larger aura. And again, if you run up on your poke root, you're just going to draw behind. Okay, so a slightly larger aura, and then one more tight one right above it. I'm just kind of filling in. And then in this larger space here, I'm just going to put a series of orbs. So I start in the center. And the more you go over it, the darker the ink is. So if you want to reiterate, you can get a little.
I didn't get that. Could you try again?
What just happened?
I want to be talking to Siri. That was weird. Okay, so I'm going to fill in with some orbs. And I'm going to fill in the interstices, the little spaces that are left, excuse me, by the orbs. So we get this cute little crescent moon with orbs. So I'm just going to go ahead and do that in all of these interior little spaces that we have. Put a little crescent, fill it in, give it a little aura, give it a larger aura, aura that. Aura when you're thinking what to do next. It saves time. And then smush some orbs in that widest aura. And fill in the interstices. So you'll get variation because, you know, we're not robots and we didn't lay out all of our poke roots exactly the same way, but that's part of what makes it interesting. So here I've got a poker right in the center there. So I'm just going to sort of imagine where that center orb would be and travel out from there. And I love that it's not uniform. I love that each little section that we're working in is slightly different. That's what makes it really human. So it's not an exact pattern. It's the same but different and better every time. And just that little bit of ink with the crescent in the center really helps the paradox pattern to stand out. We're going to do some really intense shading too, so that'll also make it pop. But these gray pens are great because you can add texture without it competing with the pattern on top. I know a lot of you are still working. I'm just going to give you the next step in case you are ready to move on. I'm going to use the lighter gray, and I'm going to do a little fill in of the background in every space that is inside that main stem. Actually, yeah, mostly. Sometimes some of these little spaces that happen on the other side, I'm going to fill in too. But with my lightest of the light gray pens, I'm going to color in these spaces here. And it's very forgiving, and you don't have to be really exact about it. And it looks like graphite, but it can be more precise. I don't know. I think it works really well. So I'm filling in the background.
I still have a lot of space left after that first, what we just did, the little crescent.
Yeah, I would
Lot of
just
space left.
I would just color in. I would just fill in with the background, or add some more poke root, or add another aura. I think there's lots of different things you could do. You must be drawing tiny. I can't wait to see yours. So I'm going to go and I'm going to fill in these little spaces too here because I can. But I'm going to leave this whole larger area up above here empty because we're going to do something else there. Okay, but I'm filling in like that. I'm going to go around and do that with my light gray all the way around. And again, this is a step that you can come back to if you're still, making your crescent moon, moon pie type things. Don't worry about it. I love coloring the background behind patterns. I feel like it makes it really just explode off the page. I do that a lot. It's also why I love to paint the background in watercolor first and then tangle on top, because then you get all these beautiful colors that make the pattern stand out. Right, so we've done that. So it's already like some shading that's happened without even picking up the pencil. While we have this light gray in our hands, I just went in and added at random. I picked one of these sections in each area here, and I just put orbs with my light gray just to give some more texture. I'm just loading in some little orbs. It doesn't have to be the same section. You don't even have to do every one. But I just thought it was a nice texture to add. And this is all just, optional fun stuff. If you want to do it, if you don't have time to do it, you can skip it. I think I'm going to do these outer ones too. Still with a light gray. Don't have to be too fussy about it. They kind of just nestle in there. I'm just going back and adding some love. So I'm gonna go with I picked up my dark gray again, and we're gonna do a little bit in this last little remaining area up at the top. And we're just gonna do, I don't even know what to call it. It's kind of like a stripe or a scallop. I'll show you. I kind of made this up. I'm gonna start in the center, just to divide up the space. I'm thinking of this to this as the area that I'm working in right now. So I'm just going to start with a line in the center, and then put some stripes. They have a slight curve to them because they're going to meet up with this curve over here eventually. And then the same thing on the other side, going slightly to the other side. And I'm drawing behind my poke root. So I made these series of stripes. You could color in every other one. What I then found myself doing, I turned it to the side and I rounded the tops. So just like an M or I don't even know. It's a C shape. Again, we're using that C shape, and I'm just curving the tops. I don't think this is a tangle. It's just kind of a tangulation or an embellishment. So I sort of scalloped the top, filled in the little U's. And then I kind of just reiterated that line. I kept it thicker at the top there where the the top of the curve is, and had it taper down. Again, this is a made up thing, so there might be a better way of explaining it than but it ends up looking kind of like pleated or like petals. So I don't know, something like that. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and do that in the next section. I start in the center. And I like to turn it to make these rounded tops. Kind of filling in, giving it some thickness and weighting at the top. And with this gray pen, the more you go over it, the darker it gets. So you can really have some differentiation of the lights and darks. I just wanted to find ways to sort of play with the textures. We had a lot of rounded lines, and then wanted to bring in something a little bit more structured in contrast to the printemps. I'm sorry, the Pocru. You could have done printemps in the background instead of this. Okay, a couple more sections, and then we're going to get to shading. I'm going to do these two at the same time. Sometimes you want to mix it up. I like this little bit of a rippled edge at the top. So it creates a nice little border. Okay, so just finish this up. We have so many textures and layers that we really want to define them now with our shading. So we're going to use our pencil and our tortillon to really make the patterns that are on top stand out and send some of the patterns that are background to the back. Because right now it's all, I mean, it's lovely, it looks great, but it's all kind of the same. So when you are ready, I invite you to pick up your pencil. And what's great is we've already really shaded this background area with the pen, because it would take a lot of time with the pencil to kind of go in and do that. So yeah, I guess we'll do it that way. I started from the outside and worked in. I don't know, you could go the other way. but I'm going to start and over top of the area that we just tangled, lay down a nice bit of graphite just around the poke root that sit on top of that scallop stripe pattern that we just did. And I'm going to go all the way around first, and then I'll go back with the tortillon and blend it. And I'm going to go pretty heavy because I really want to send that last detail that we just did to the background and highlight, bring the poke root to the foreground. And once you've gotten all the way around, you can set your pencil down and blend with your tortillon, bringing that graphite into the rest of the space, but not filling it. You want shades of gray, darkest close to the poke root and then getting lighter. And by way of shading the poke root, use the graphite that's on the tortillon and just make a little like smile every now and then on these poke root. I didn't even draw it there. I just took a little of what was on the tortillon and put it on the poke root. So I shade this area first, and then I take what's on the tortillon and just kind of put a little bit here and there. If you need a little bit more, go back in. I don't want to shade the poke root too heavily because I want them to be lighter and stand out. Then I go to the next section. And it's hard to tell which was what we shaded with the pen a little while ago and which is shaded with the pencil. It's fun. So after I've shaded that area, now I'm going to go around this star shaped thing that we made and just lay down graphite all the way around the outside of that, just to really make that stand out even further. So just like the poke root stood out from that background scallop, this even stands out more. on top of the poke root. And I know sometimes it seems a little painful to put graphite on top of all of this beautiful line work that we've just done, but it always elevates it. Even if it feels in the moment like we're scribbling on something we just spent all this time drawing. Okay, and then we do a little blending. And I'm using tiny little circles with my tortillon, keeping it darkest, closest to the star shape and pulling it out. Dark, medium to light, all the way around. You don't have to go too hard on the areas that are colored in with our crescent because they are already dark. And now I want to bring out some of the texture in this inner pattern. So I'm going to look at these sort of pinwheeling shapes, and I'm going to lay down some nice graphite in each of these pinwheel shapes.
Micah, can you move your tile more to the center so I can?
Yep,
see
sorry.
it? Okay, that's okay, thanks.
Yep, it tends to travel off the. I don't feel too bad about that because at Zen again, with all of the like top Zentangle people, every 5 minutes they were like, can't see your tile. Okay, so once we've done that, then we can blend. So then it really becomes this like folded kind of amazing thing. And it looks great just like this, but then I took it one step further. We're running a little short on time, so I'm sorry if I'm moving quickly, but you'll get this. So I then took my jelly roll, I have a turquoise, I don't know, there's pinks and oranges and things out there, and I colored in those little orbs that we made in the middle there. I don't go all the way to the edge of the orb because I like to still see a little bit of the line. So I just added this little pop of color on these guys here all the way around. And it just takes a little bit of the jelly roll ink to really make it stand out. Just giving it a touch. And then, because I couldn't leave well enough alone, I took my gold pen, and on either side of where I did the blue, I made a gold stripe. And I also, oh, it's hard to see, I also made the smaller auras in this background gold, and I made the stems of the poke root gold too. I do that a lot. You know, the gold is a little reminiscent of a brown. It's a little earthy. It's hard to see, but so I just went around, and you don't have to be real precise. I just went in and added a little bit of gold. I try not to go over the black ink. So just about out of time, but that's would be how I would finish it up. Let's take a moment and put our chop on the front of our tile somewhere, if there's any room, if you could find. I'm going to go out in this border here and just make a little, with my little chop. Oh, I picked up a gray. I don't think I didn't think about that much at all. Just put my chop there. Turn it over. Put my name. TS Zentangle 6/1/23. And what did we do? It's paradox. Kind of a crescent moon and poke root kind of a thing. And if you would, I'm going to take my pin off, and you can all share your Zendalas. Let's see how it went. How did it go for you? Amazing. These are fantastic. Oh my gosh, they're beautiful. When you have your blur your background, it kind of makes it hard to see. Oh, nice. Misha, I love the red. That's really cool.
They're all so different.
These are incredible. Whoa, Phyllis, you got some cool like inner patterns going on there too. Love it. These are fantastic. Was this fun? What'd you think?
Fun.
Yeah, I felt fun with this tile. I felt proud of this tile.
Yeah, this one, I
This
love
one-
doing that swirl.
Yeah, so here's the first one that I did. They came out pretty similarly actually, because the pre-strung keeps them kind of tidy. But yeah,
And I can't believe it was an hour and a half
flew by, right?
like
Yeah.
that. Like,
Yeah.
yeah.
And we probably could have taken another 10, 15 minutes to finish up. I felt a little rushed at the end, but everybody, It's such a joy to get to do this with you. Thank you for being on this Zentangle journey with me. And I love it. And I love that you enjoy it as well. So we'll take a little break for the summer, but we'll pick up in the fall and find new and different things to do with Zentangle.
Thank
Thank you so
Thank
much.
you.
Great fun. Have a good
Thank
summer.
you.
Great
Yeah,
summer. I
have a
hope
good-
I see you
have a great-
around. See
Hope we see
Yeah,
some
I
of
hope
you.
I
We're,
see you soon.
you
we're
soon.
still
Yep.
open. You guys can come
We're
to
still
services.
open. Bye, everybody.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye. Thank you.